working with GIS is not, as I said, using the software per se, but much more using the concept of overlaying data and information on maps so the kids can um, discern patterns and actually use efficiently the different data that has been stored in different binders or categories, isn't it? So teachers can make own movies where they show the overlaying of this data, or students can do it in Google Earth, isn't it? For example, with the Africa project, you send me uh, three maps, and you were talking about overlaying maps that the kids will use, But individually, they can analyze certain degree of data and such amount of information that only have in that map. It's only through the overlaying of data that things will come much more alive, and you will move kids to the next level of reasoning and analysis that you want geographically and politically, isn't it? So one example is this: you give me this map, and I overlaid on Google Earth. So now basically this map is overlaid completely in Google Earth, and there are different things that I can do with it. I can make it like semi-transparent. I still can see the old map, but not only that, I can even, like, if I make it semi-transparent like that or not, I can overlay the data of the countries that are today, isn't it? So, and if I double click closer, I can see the names of the countries here. So I can compare the old map that you gave me with versus the new map politically that it's, like from Google Earth right now. Then you have two layers of information, which rivers are crossing, what is the mapping of these mountains. And one of the interesting features about this map, for example, was the railroad. Isn't it? So they were planning to make this huge railroad, and you can see it mapped here. So now you have layers again, isn't it? This is the original. But now, using this map that you gave me, I trace just the layer of that one. So now you can see clearly the railroad that they were planning to do to connect Cape Town with El Cairo during the time of the colonies, and how it crosses territories. But it is a daunting task, and probably they did not contemplate the idea that it has to cross several territories, isn't it? You can only see it when you eliminate this map and overlap the next one. This is very clear, and it's a very complex task because now the railroad has to cross a dozen of different tribes and groups, and then you will need to, make agreements with all these people through passing through this land. But even gets more complicated because if you start actually activating the countries now in another layer that this railroad it's going to pass through, South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. So now you can see how complex operation will be uh, uh, to actually develop a railroad that not only now has to manage the land of all these tribes and do in native groups from Africa, but also now the political landscape has changed, and even inside of the countries, you will need to also do agreements with the governments to see how this railroad will pass through, isn't it? Um, Moving the line a little bit to avoid certain geographical features will help you in certain way. So if Democratic Republic of Congo, which is touched by the line only by that section, says no, maybe you can move the line a little bit to keep it inside completely into Zambia. So there are different ways that you can organize data if you put it on layers, isn't it? And then teachers are able to do this, but students are able to do this as well. This is just one example of how things can work with overlaying data here. Got your map, you can have your other map, you can have your other map on the top of the map, and then overimpose any layers that you want. You can have the country that the road was passing by, or this one, and activate this one too. It's just infinite possibilities. But my point here is, with this teeny example that I just did, is that what matters is that overlaying of data information, and that teachers can pre-prepare if they are ready and show it in movies, or pre-prepare projects and give it to the students to analyze. And actually right now, because Google Map and Google Earth, students can do also the comparisons of data and the construction of these layers if they want to.